History taught us that Egypt and Mesopotamia were humanity's first great civilizations, the foundations of writing, architecture, and organized society. But what if that is not the full story? What if buried beneath deserts, mountains, and oceans are the remains of a world even older, a civilization erased from memory yet powerful enough to shape the myths of every culture on Earth? Imagine temples older than the pyramids, cities built before the first kings of Sumer, and knowledge so advanced it challenges everything we believe about human progress. This is not fantasy. Archaeologists and historians are uncovering traces of people who lived, thrived, and vanished long before the names of Egypt and Mesopotamia were ever written. And their story, once forgotten, may be the greatest mystery of all time. When people think of the dawn of civilization, two names immediately come to mind: Egypt, with its timeless pyramids, and Mesopotamia, the land between the rivers where writing and law were born. These cultures have long been celebrated as the first chapters of human history, the starting point of everything we call progress. But what if those chapters are not the beginning at all? What if they are only the continuation of a much older story, one that has been erased, buried, and nearly forgotten? Across the world, archaeologists have uncovered clues that refuse to fit neatly into the timeline we were taught. Sites thousands of years older than the pharaohs, monuments that predate the first cities of Sumer, artifacts suggesting knowledge and organization long before recorded history. These are not random anomalies. Together, they point to the possibility of an entire civilization, older than Egypt and Mesopotamia, that slipped through the cracks of time. And if such a civilization truly existed, then the history of humanity as we know it is not just incomplete, it is in desperate need of rewriting. Breaking the myth of first civilizations for generations. Classrooms, textbooks, and documentaries have repeated the same narrative. The story of a civilization begins with Mesopotamia and Egypt. These lands are celebrated as humanity's first experiment in organized society, where kings ruled, armies marched, and writing carved its way into clay and stone. Mesopotamia gave us Hammurabi's code and the wheel. Egypt built the pyramids that still pierce the desert sky. Together, they stand as the supposed birthplace of everything we call civilization. But this claim, while powerful, is misleading. It paints a picture of human progress as though it suddenly burst into existence around 5,000 years ago, ignoring the countless millennia of human creativity, cooperation, and survival that came before. Long before Sumerians etched cuneiform into clay, humans were building settlements, trading goods, and honoring their dead in sacred sites that defy our timelines. Long before Egypt raised colossal monuments, other societies were carving intricate temples, aligning their structures with the stars, and shaping landscapes in ways that still baffle scientists today. Archaeology, far from confirming the textbook story, has been steadily chipping away at it. Each new discovery suggests that civilization did not simply begin in one place and spread outward like ripples on water. Instead, humanity's earliest experiments with culture, religion, and technology may have emerged in many places. Some remembered, others erased. This realization changes everything. If Egypt and Mesopotamia were not the first, then they were inheritors of something much older, something that may have risen, thrived, and collapsed thousands of years before history began to be written. And in the ruins left behind, scattered across continents, we find whispers of that forgotten beginning, hints that humanity's true story is far deeper, far more complex, and far more mysterious than we ever imagined. Traces of the forgotten civilization. If we look beyond the celebrated valleys of the Nile and the Tigris-Euphrates, the earth begins to reveal fragments of an older world, scattered across deserts, buried beneath jungles, and carved into forgotten. Mountainsides are clues that suggest humans organized themselves into complex societies long before Egypt's pharaohs or Mesopotamia's kings. One of the most astonishing examples lies in southeastern Turkey. Göbekli Tepe, dated to around 11,000 years ago, this site predates Stonehenge by millennia and the pyramids by thousands of years. Massive stone pillars, arranged in circles, stand engraved with animals and symbols whose meanings we still cannot decipher. Yet this was built by people who, according to textbooks, should have been nothing more than nomadic hunters. How did they organize the labor, the vision, and the spiritual drive to create such a place? Farther east, in the plains of South Asia, lies Mehrgar, a settlement nearly 9,000 years old. Here, people practiced agriculture, crafted beads, and worked with metals at a time when Mesopotamia had not even been imagined. Their culture flourished for thousands of years, leaving behind burial sites that suggest rituals and social structures we often reserve only for advanced civilizations. In the Andes, the ancient site of Caral rises in silent testimony. Built around 2600 BCE, roughly the same time Egypt's pyramids were being raised, Caral had plazas, pyramids, and sophisticated architecture, yet no evidence of warfare. It suggests that human organization, music, trade, and religion may have thrived in ways completely different from the models we assume. Across continents, the evidence repeats itself. Mysterious mounds in North America, megaliths in Malta, and ancient astronomical observatories in Africa hint at advanced societies lost to time. None of these fit neatly into the traditional timeline. They stand instead as fingerprints of a civilization, or perhaps multiple civilizations, whose names and stories have been erased. These traces may not tell us everything, but together they raise a staggering possibility. Humanity's first great leap into civilization occurred far earlier than we thought, and it was not confined to Egypt or Mesopotamia. The world itself was once a stage for forgotten societies whose brilliance still echoes in stone. Clues in myths and legends, archaeology offers us stones, bones, and ruins. But sometimes the most powerful evidence of forgotten civilizations is not carved into rock. It is carried in memory. Across cultures, across continents, and across millennia, stories have survived that speak of worlds before our world, of golden ages that collapsed, and of ancestors who lived in ways far beyond what their time should have allowed. Take the story of a great flood. From the Epic of Gilgamesh in Mesopotamia, to the biblical tale of Noah, to flood myths in India, China, and among Native American tribes, the theme repeats itself with uncanny precision. An advanced people perished in a world-ending deluge, leaving behind only fragments of their knowledge. Could these shared legends be faint recollections of real events? Catastrophic floods at the end of the Ice Age, around 12,000 years ago, when seas rose and entire coastlines vanished beneath the waves. Other myths speak not of destruction, but of knowledge. Ancient Greek traditions recall the lost island of Atlantis, a place of power and wisdom that sank into the sea. In Mesoamerica, the Maya and Aztecs spoke of previous suns, earlier worlds that ended before the present one began. Aboriginal Australian stories, passed down for tens of thousands of years, tell of landscapes that once existed but now lie beneath the ocean. Descriptions later confirmed by modern geology. These myths may seem like fantasy, but modern science is beginning to view them differently. Oral traditions have been shown to preserve accurate memories of real events for astonishing lengths of time. When dozens of unrelated cultures describe civilizations destroyed by water, fire, or celestial events, it becomes difficult to dismiss them as coincidence. Instead, they may be fragmented echoes of societies so ancient that their names, languages, and monuments are gone, but their memory lingers in stories. The legends remind us of a truth archaeology alone cannot show. Human history is not a straight line. It is a cycle of rise and fall, of remembering and forgetting. And if myths preserve even a fraction of the truth, then the forgotten civilization older than Egypt and Mesopotamia still whispers to us, hidden in the world's oldest stories. The archaeological mysteries legends ignite curiosity, but stones demand answers. When we look closely at the remains of ancient sites, a troubling pattern emerges. Technologies and techniques appear thousands of years before they should. These mysteries challenge not just archaeology, but our entire understanding of human capability. Consider the precision of ancient stonework. At sites like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey and Puma Punku in Bolivia, massive stones are fitted together with such accuracy that even a razor blade cannot slip between them. These structures were built long before the invention of iron tools, yet they show a mastery of cutting, lifting, and placement that rivals modern engineering. How could so-called primitive societies achieve this level of perfection without cranes, wheels, or advanced mathematics? Astronomy provides another enigma. Across the globe, ancient monuments align with the stars, solstices, and equinoxes with uncanny accuracy. The great stone circles of Britain, the Nabta Playa in Egypt, and even the mysterious structures on Easter Island show an awareness of the heavens that suggests generations of careful observation and possibly knowledge inherited from an even older tradition. If civilizations like Egypt were first, how do such alignments exist thousands of years earlier? Then there are the tools and artifacts that defy explanation. Ancient drill holes in hard granite, beads carved with microscopic precision, and maps that seem to depict coastlines as they existed during the Ice Age all suggest a level of advancement that official timelines cannot explain. Either our ancestors were far more skilled than we give them credit for, or they were inheriting knowledge passed down from a forgotten people. Even agriculture poses questions. Sites like Jericho and Çatalhöyük reveal organized farming, communities that predate the so-called agricultural revolution. How could humans transition so quickly, from hunting and gathering to complex farming, without a guiding model? Did they discover it entirely on their own, or were they following in the footsteps of an older, lost society? Each of these mysteries is like a puzzle piece that doesn't fit. Alone, they might be dismissed as anomalies. Together, they form a picture that is impossible to ignore, a picture of a forgotten civilization whose achievements ripple across time, shaping the foundations of societies we thought were the first. Why they were forgotten. If traces of an ancient civilization exist, one question rises above all others. Why do we not remember them? How could a culture advanced enough to shape monuments, myths, and technologies vanish so completely from human memory? One possibility lies in the violence of nature. Around 12,000 years ago, the Earth underwent dramatic upheavals. The last ice age ended, glaciers melted, and sea levels rose by more than 300 feet. Entire coastlines disappeared beneath the waves. Cities and settlements that may have thrived along ancient shores were swallowed by the oceans, leaving only faint legends of sunken lands. Catastrophic floods, earthquakes, and volcanic eruptions could have wiped out populations and erased their achievements in a matter of days. Another explanation is conflict. Human history is steeped in cycles of war and conquest. An advanced but isolated society may have been overrun by neighboring groups, its knowledge scattered, its monuments repurposed, and its identity erased. In time, the conquerors wrote their own histories, while the memory of those they destroyed faded into silence. But perhaps the most powerful force of forgetting is time itself. Civilizations are fragile. Without written records, knowledge is easily lost within a few generations. Oral traditions can preserve fragments, but without cities to anchor them, even the greatest cultures become whispers. Egypt and Mesopotamia survived because they developed writing early and carved their names in stone. A civilization that thrived before them may have left no such permanent record, making it all too easy for their story to vanish. What remains? Then are fragments, a ruined temple here, a myth there, a pattern of stars remembered in stone. These remnants suggest greatness but do not tell the full story. And so history, shaped by the evidence at hand, crowned Egypt and Mesopotamia as the first, while those who came before slipped into obscurity. Yet forgetting does not mean they never existed. It only means their memory waits, hidden in ruins, buried in legends, and locked in mysteries that challenge the story we thought we knew. What it means for us today. When we look at the traces of a forgotten civilization, The lesson is not just about the past. It is about ourselves. The idea that a society older than Egypt or Mesopotamia once thrived challenges our deepest assumptions about human progress. History is often presented as a ladder, step by step, from caves to villages to kingdoms. But the evidence suggests something different. Humanity may not have climbed a simple ladder. It may have risen, fallen, and risen again. For us today, this realization is both humbling and inspiring. It is humbling because it reminds us that even the greatest civilizations can disappear. If entire cultures with knowledge, technology, and organization once vanished, what does that say about our own world? No society is immune to time, disaster, or collapse, but it is also inspiring. If humanity has created greatness before, and if some of it was forgotten, then our potential is far greater than we imagine. The myths, ruins, and mysteries we uncover are not just reminders of what was lost. They are signposts pointing to what we are capable of achieving again. Most importantly, this story belongs to all of us. It is not the history of one nation or one culture, but of humanity as a whole. The forgotten civilization is part of our shared heritage, hidden beneath the sands, stones, and seas, waiting for us to rediscover it. To explore these mysteries is to rediscover ourselves, to ask not just who we were, but who we might become. Conclusion. We began with a question. What if the story of civilization did not start with Egypt or Mesopotamia? What if the true beginning lies deeper, hidden in ruins that defy timelines and myths that refuse to die? As we have seen, the evidence is scattered but compelling. From Göbekli Tepe's mysterious pillars to ancient settlements like Mergar, from flood legends shared across continents to stonework that challenges modern tools. All of it points to a chapter of human history we barely understand. A civilization, or perhaps many civilizations, that thrived before the so-called firsts we celebrate today. Why were they forgotten? Time, disaster, and silence erase their names, but not their impact. Their echoes survive in the monuments we puzzle over and the stories we still tell. And every discovery reminds us that history is not fixed. It is alive, shifting, waiting for us to uncover its hidden truths. For the world today, this is more than curiosity. It is a reminder that humanity is far older, wiser, and more resilient than we often believe. If one great civilization has been erased, how many more lie buried beneath our feet? How much of our shared past remains untold? The forgotten civilization is not just about the past. It is about us, about where we came from and where we are going. And until we uncover the full truth, history will remain not a closed book, but a mystery still waiting to be written.